everyone. Good evening. How are we doing? Yay! My name is Anjana. I'm the president of Creative Writing Club.
And I'm Skylar. I'm the president of Zephyr.
And we'd like to welcome you to our third annual reading event. Yay! We have 10 amazing readers here tonight, but before we get started, we'd like to call up our advisors to say a few words. So first up, we have Jessie Miller, who is an English professor, an advisor of Creative Writing Club, and the Bolt.
Thank you for coming out. This is fantastic to see folks here. My name is Jessie Miller. I teach writing here at UNE, and I'm also, as Anjana pointed out, I'm the Creative Writing Club advisor. This is important because I've been the advisor for this club that is, I still think of it as newly founded, 2020, like, right, you remember 2020. Here this club comes to be, and we are 3 years removed from that, which is really an interesting thing to think about. I wanna kind of say what Anjana was saying, which is like, thank you for coming. This is the third annual creative celebration of creative writing here at UNE, and I basically just want to kind of mention two or three things and get on with it, get on with the reading. One is, so this is an event that is co-hosted by two amazing clubs, the Creative Writing Club as well as Zephyr. Also, I wanted to kind of make note to honor somebody, to honor Beanie Lowry, who founded this club. Beanie graduated last year. Hi, I'm getting some feedback. Beanie graduated last year. Beanie was one of my advisees, one of my mentees, and I've been thinking about this event, and I was thinking about, it's the fall in New England, and it's, there's all this kind of, nostalgia. And, I was thinking about where we were 3 years ago and where we are now, and, in good ways and bad ways, but, here we are tonight. And this club exists because of Beanie's vision to be able to kind of get that together, to get it off the ground. And this event, which is now in its third iteration, is this is part of Beanie's legacy, and so it's important to kind of know that this event became this thing because of Beanie. I also wanted to thank everybody who put stuff together here. I'm thinking of Skylar and everybody with Zephyr and all the readers. I'm thinking of Anjana and Rachel and everyone at the Creative Writing Club and all the readers. And I just want to, say, as we kind of get into tonight, this celebration of writing here, our state has seen a lot of darkness and recently, and here we are in this room together in light, and I like that place, so let's enjoy the light. Thanks.
Prof. Miller, you're always a hard act to follow. I'm Susan McHugh. I'm professor of literature. I teach creative writing classes and a lot of classes that have to do with, did I just lose the mic? Is it okay? Okay, sorry. Always good to do a sound check. And a lot of my classes have to do with animals in literature, like my research area, but also I'm getting deeper into plant stuff too. So I'm thinking of this because last issue of Zephyr was the first time that I was invited to contribute an introduction to it. Thank you again, Skylar. And in looking back on that and thinking whether I should signal some of that in my moment here tonight, I realized it was really focused on springtime. My two events, the two go-to favorite events of the UNE calendar year are this one in the fall and the Zephyr launch in the spring. And yeah, I know, I'm prejudiced, it's okay. I put it out there. And in that one, I was talking about changes. Spring we associate as a time of new beginnings, right? Graduations and moving on, and new flowers coming up, whatnot. But as a gardener, I'm out there planting now. I'm planting spring bulbs. So fall is also a time of change, and not necessarily bad changes either. I know this is a challenging time of the semester for a lot of folks, partly because one of the things that starts happening, particularly around the advising for the spring season and thinking ahead to what you're doing in the summer, that will all be bringing you into places where your mind is swirling around. Am I in the right major? Or should I pick up more minors? Am I in the right career path? And sometimes change is good. Let that happen, particularly when, as you're all here tonight to pursue your passion projects, remember that passion is a really important part of life, and maybe the most important part of life. And if you're finding that you're not doing what you thought you wanted to do or what you think other people think you ought to be doing, please reach out to us as faculty. We're really happy to talk with you, and we know changes are tough and decisions can be rough, but that's what we're here to do, is to support you. And I hope tonight inspire you, too, to realize that all these folks who are going to share their wonderful work and the work that's published in Zephyr are doing it. They are finding their passion, so follow the light. Let us lead you in places that you want to be and that you want to find yourselves as we move forward. Thank you, everyone, so much, but especially Skylar and Anjana, and if you will please take the podium.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Like Jesse mentioned previously, I'm the president of Creative Writing Club. Our club was founded by Beanie Laurie, now UNE alumni. So our club is mostly about having a safe space for creative writers to share their work, workshop their work. We have a lot of fun, and that's a little bit about Creative Writing Club.
Yep, and as we said, I am the president, editor-in-chief of Zephyr. It's a collection that we do every year of student and faculty and staff work. We also collect work from alumni and publish it in the spring every year and distribute it to everyone at the school, so that everyone can see all the amazing creative writers and artists that we have here. Yeah. And
go ahead.
Yep. And so we'll kick off tonight with our first reader, Rachel.
Yeah, and right before we start, a couple of house rules. So just want to give a slight warning. Art is unpredictable and life is unpredictable, so there might be some mature content and some language. Just want to give a quick disclaimer for that right in the beginning. And each reader will be reading more than one piece, so if you could hold the applause until the reader is finished, that'd be great. And yeah.
Yep. All right, Rachel, come on up. Yay.
Thank you. My first piece is an original poem called Sick Day Food. When she leaves the ginger ale and the bowl of fried rice behind our door, I almost tell her she forgot to bring you yours. But like the smell of cooked sausage and broccoli we'd enjoy after a walk through the snow, it strikes me, like blinding lightning, the growling of my stomach, not unlike a cold rain that freezes once it touches the skin of my hands. Scarred, but too soft to be held, slipping through fingers like the grains of rice as you stir it in with the eggs and the carrots and the peas, garnishing it with green onions before you bring it over, asking me if the fever's gone down, only to check for yourself what a kiss gentle as a snowflake on a winter night. The smell brings back late nights, holding hands and watching stars. The blade of the chef knife slices my hand and my heart. The timer of 10 years goes off. My hands red as the little slices of pepper she's added, my own signature touch, growing cold as I sit there, my head pounding as you leave me all over again, and I drown it in the sticky brightness, surrounded by the ice cubes that won't soothe this fever of the mind. My next poem is also an original, and it's called Suppose You Chose Us. Suppose we are on that train again, the late night sky looming over us, as we go back to our home, so far from the sticks, fingers intertwined, your head on my shoulder, as the locomotive motion lulls you to sleep. Suppose your folks don't think in backward boxes, and mine don't talk in reputation and the language of icicles. 1,000 eyes watching me like a lion threatened by his son, forcing me to my knees as I watch it play out again. Crowds in the street simply miss to walk through as I try to get to you again. Only for someone who doesn't know me like you to tug on my sleeve. The street's empty as that train car once was, and I force myself to swallow the inferno in my eyes and carry on as if I am whole without you by my side. My final poem is also an original, and it's called Moonflower Mornings, Wisteria Weepings. I sit in my chair, eyes drifting close, curtains drawing on the infinite stage. I awake in our room, a vacant shell of the world before it all went to hell. The sheets still smell like your orchid shampoo, your softer than moon sweater draped over the chair, lifting up a strand of your hair to the tides in the sky like an abandoned prayer. A knock on the door, but it is not you, so I ignore it and return to painting a portrait of the one and only person who ever cared, only to leave me behind with words unshared. You call my name, and I stand, my tired eyes searching for you, only to be met with a specter. You hold your gift to me in your hand, one that I can't accept, so I close my eyes, and I try to lie, but I can't lie, not to you, so instead we fall, through the floor, through the ocean waves, pinkies intertwined as I jolt awake. He crosses his arms, sister by his side, and he faintly smiles, and I remind myself that it's all for them, even if it means I'll only ever see you in my dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Next up, we have Jasmine.
Hello, my name is Jasmine. The first poem that I'm going to read for you all is If Anything Happens, I Love You, My Heart Asked First. I often dreamed of what it would like to fly like a butterfly in the wind. But in my dreams, I was never alone. You are always there, holding my hand, helping me fly, and helping me achieve my dreams. Stay with me forever and never leave me. My eyes hold so much, I'm tired of the past and scared of the future that hides within them. I'm so tired of thinking and hearing the voices. I'm tired of constant judging I give myself. I want to feel pretty. I want to feel sane. I want to feel better. I'm not perfect, I muttered quietly. I'm not like the girls at school with flawless grades on the varsity cheerleading team, winning prom queen at the dance. I am not the one who will ever measure up or make a mark that will truly stay. But even with all my failed attempts of trying to seem normal, you will still stay, even when the mirror of my face is shattered into many pieces. Old friend, I remember many memories of you, your gambles, your honors, the time you went out with a bang on a roar, heard from the tallest mountain. Old friend, back then the world was simple. You would chase shadows in the light, and in those days the rivers would swiftly race towards us. Now you are king, with your antlers proudly worn on your crown. Old friend, as we cross paths, I will recede into the thicket. My breath will kiss every tree, and I will become a force of nature. It's been so long since I felt your presence running through my roots, melting the heart close to home. The second poem that I'm going to read is called Tiger Lily. She's always in the background, captured in a photo, forever frozen in time. Yet staring at the photo so many times, she starts to take shape and gains focus. Her eyes fixate on yours, while her bright red hair blows in the wind. You can feel her soul lift from the photo's surface as she beckons you to the rafters. Though there are plenty of flawless daisies in a brightly lit field, there is only one fiery tiger lily, always watching and always present. The last poem that I'm going to read is called Inferno. He played with fire and got an inferno. Everything she touches will die. Her breath is made of fire, and her hands are made of ash. When she leaves, the air is full of smoke. As her victims lay lifeless, somehow, a tiny sprout grows from the ground, and we call that flower karma. Thank you so much for hearing my poems.
All right, and up next we have Anjana.
Hello again. So my first poem is from a Creative Writing Club member who couldn't be here. This is Reflection by Ariel Sedman. A ribbon in my hair to stop bleeding, and a knife at my hip to cause. An eye on the back of my head, cautious of the trees, and one in front, content with the water. An archery whistle around my neck, and a crane flies to shore. Halloween candy in my backpack, and a mallard dives for a fish. A mourning dove sings, and seagulls stand proud atop a buoy. Sitting ducks calling home. My next poem is also from a Creative Writing Club member who couldn't be here. This is The Daughter He Created by Rachel Gardner. Sometimes I wonder if my father is scared of me, of the daughter he created. If he's scared of how I've gone from a little girl with ringlet curls and a holy smile to a woman with a pierced nose and a loud voice. I used to run up to him to show him the frog or snake or other slimy thing I had cupped in my hand. Now I don't run for him to anything. When we watch a movie, I cringe at the man on screen. I wonder if he cringes at me. As my voice gets loud and I define all the faults that I see in that man, I wonder if he thinks I'm talking about him. When we watch a movie, I see the way he looks at women on screen. I cringe. The comments he makes and the way he views them makes my stomach shrink. I hope he doesn't think of me that way. I used to want to view the world the way he did. He'd look up at the stars, and I'd look too. I tried to find what he was staring at. Now I hope I never become as negative as him. I hate the fights I have with him. We both raise our voices, and I refuse to back down. Something he taught me. I keep my emotions in check. I explain as well as I can, but he never seems to get it. He never seems to understand I am the woman on screen. I am the woman he doesn't say goodnight to. I am the woman he whistles at on the street. He doesn't understand we all are one, that his actions have consequences. My voice dies down as I realize he won't get it. Not because he can't, because he refuses. Some primal or subconscious piece of him won't let him understand. He wouldn't like the man he was if I was right. So instead, I end our conversation. I look at this man who used to cause such adoration in my chest, and now I can only conjure a feeling of mild disappointment. I have more questions about him than answers. How can he do this to me? He raised 2 daughters. How can he still not understand? Is he really that thick-headed? I know he's not. He understands so much. Why does he refuse to understand this? Where did my father go? And the last piece I have is a small excerpt from a story that I'm writing. So Creative Writing Club is hosting National Novel Writing Month at UNE. And this is a small scene from something I'm working on that's very similar to how I used to spend my summers in India. The heat was unbearable. Sure, New England has its moments in the summer, but nothing compared to this. The humidity was thick and suffocating. Its appendages crawled through open windows and stuck to concrete walls. The moisture seeped itself into rickety wooden furniture and yellow book pages. You could lie still on the cool tile floor and still feel your anterior side bead with sweat. At this moment, the heat was particularly menacing. It was the dreaded hour. Every day between 11 and 12, the power would shut off. It was a lonesome sight. The singular ceiling fan would slow to a dreary stop, and the old TV would flicker gray until the screen became a slate of graphite. I looked outside to the remnants of my grandmother's farm. Dappled sunlight filtered through dark green leaves, and I saw the busy mix of crops and animals from 50 years ago. The light shifted, and the banyan tree swung its great arms, and the land was once again red and cracked and tired. Thank you so much. Sorry. Next up, we have Skylar.
All right. Tonight I'll be reading 3 original poems. The first one is called The Axe and the Tree. I don't forget the things you said, the words, the way they hurt me, the fear and heartbreak that I try to keep from surging into anger. We all hold the axe, but it's up to us, whether we chop at other trees, with words and subtexts, a piercing thought, a wounding belief. It's easy to do without even having to think. But all this time, you were so blind, you didn't realize you were cutting me down too. My next poem is called Sun. I am a friend, I am a boyfriend, I am a brother, I am a cousin, I am a nephew, I am one of the bros, I'm even that guy over there. But there's one thing I'm not. I don't know if I can or ever will become. I just want to be a sun. And my final piece, short and sweet, is called Wildflowers. On my way to lunch today, I picked some wildflowers growing on the lawn. I gave them to the girl I love, and it was lucky I did, because on the way back, they were all mowed and gone. Thank you. And next up, we have Faye.
Thank you, thank you. Gonna mess up the whole setup here. Okay, I'm gonna be reading 2 poems from the Zephyr and then one that I've written. So starting off, Neither Do You by Tasha Connor. You don't deserve to know me. You don't deserve to know a damn thing about me. You don't deserve to have the memories or a part of me with you to remember. You don't deserve to know the reasons of why I stopped talking to people. Because yes, there were reasons. You deserve to know the person I've become isn't you. And for that, I'm thankful you deserve to know how amazing at life I've become without you. Just know I'm happy, but you don't deserve this explanation, and neither do you. My second piece is Moles of Misfortune by Benjamin S. Fitzgerald. Darkness and light all at once, the faces of many and yet few. But who am I to judge our fate? Bombardments of artillery light up the sky above us with the roar of a lion. Some try to run from it and others hide from it, but those who run are found over the trenches the next morning. We were not men those days. We were boys sent on a suicide mission. We all wanted something: freedom, adventure, and to fight for a personal score. But here we all are, writing our goodbyes with a photo of us pinned to our uniform. Silence then fills the air with such gusto that even the dead can't spew out their last breath. Follow orders, that's what we're told. As we march out of our tunnels into the open, we are only met with machine gun fire dancing in the midst of the fight, like fireflies on a calm summer's night. Charging forward as screams are faded by the sound of lead, only to run over the graves of forgotten souls. Yet I keep moving forward. Blam, blam, blam. The last sound I hear is when our eyes lock. A wall of boys clouds my vision upon jumping into the enemy's defenses. But who am I? I'm just a boy wanting to be free. Stuck in a wheel of pain and sorrow, my mind drifts. I do not want to see the end. We were all moles trapped between mounds deep in the trenches. As my eyes begin to shut, and with one last glance, my last words are Vive la France. And then I have my poem as well, called Faith. I say atheist, but it rings hollow. Okay, agnostic. But that's not quite right. The taste of both words in my mouth cannot amount to the full truth. So, what is it? Leaves in fall, shuffling about. The wind, pushing and rapping, playful. A shuffled music playlist when it gives just the thing I need to hear. Trees dying in old childhood homes. Meat that yells, I was alive, with every bite. A backpack falling off a bench in defiance. Clean water and sand dollars, discovery manifest. But I turn my head upwards and my grandmother's deathbed, and I am struck with the realization why heaven is in the sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. Next we have Cole.
I'll be reading two poems, one from the Zephyr by Skylar, who I didn't fully comprehend would be here today, and the other one is written by me. So the first one is Today by Skylar. I will write you a new love song every day. I'll make sure you're never lost, and I'll tell you how our kids grow up and what their kids have done. I'll help you keep track of the days and the students that you teach. I'll keep the memories safe for you so they're always within reach. I'll do it for 100 years or more, and I'll give my soul for yours, because even though you will forget all of this tomorrow, I'll do it anyway, because I love you today. And the second one is written by me, called Not an Ode. We slogged through dirt, through silt, through rot, across an endless mire, a mind of mold and muck. Yet from the swamp a stone, its face of moss, and so we climbed atop, and now unstuck, gaze past your bog, your toxic tedium, persistent gnats and stagnant water, we could see connection, this mycelium. There's more to us alone than we could be with you. We grow on rot, on silt, on mud, on muck, our roots now anchor, strengthening the dirt, and though you poisoned, clogged, and called, we persevered. So despite still feeling your bites and welts, all of which we sustain, your requiem's meaning no longer remains. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cole. And next up, we have Alexa.
Hi, I'll be reading two poems from the last Zephyr and then a third of my own. Okay, the first one is Smoke by Leslie Ricker. A rainbow down below, lightning at the core, the table where the Magi dined, the dress the devil wore. Modern world of curious clouds, mist and vapor, simple smoke, always going somewhere else, deserting the fires that birthed it. My beautiful daisies will not dance with me. The cardinal does not mark my flight, even if I see him from the feeder. Wind and tree and sky, all blind and deaf when I walk by. The clouds will not stop for me, no matter how I try to talk with them, or call their name. They just swirled and fled this world, and the smoke was still the same. And then the next is Escape by Alyssa D. Krasinski. I feel the need to run sometimes. I daydream of turning onto the highway and stopping only when my soul feels at peace. I picture the wind blowing through my hair and singing along loudly to my favorite songs as I escape the monotony of life. Tell no one that I'm leaving, let them wonder, what got into her? That's not like her. It's not like me. Maybe that's the point. And then the third is one I wrote. The title on the pamphlet says Beneath, but I've changed this poem a lot since that was decided, so it's not as fitting as it used to be. Okay. When I was younger and still naive, I would sit beneath a shagbark tree. I admired how the bark warped and curled in disorderly smoke-gray strips to protect itself from fire, insects, and disease, and how easily it could be peeled away. How despite its best effort, it could not protect itself from everything. The tree fell to a storm that tore through its rooted soil and shook hickory nuts loose, hard-shelled fruit making dull thumps in the mud, like the tears my mother shed on the topsoil of my grave for the unruly daughter she could no longer recognize. But from the wretched, gnarled root systems of the shaggy toppled tree, new saplings bloomed, fed by death, with no regard for whether a storm would come again, because it would. And every time new leaves spring, I am reminded that no matter how firm my self-preservation becomes, someone can always peel it away. A storm will always still come to fell me, and much like this tree, I must always choose to begin again and again and again.
Thanks, Alexa. Next up, we have Britta.
I'll be reading 3 poems that I wrote myself, and I'll be starting with Breathe In. I wash up on the rocks. The same waves that pulled me in spit me out onto this beach. They always do. You watch me wake up, dry my soggy eyes, shake the sand out of my hair, and make my way home. The home that put me on a shelf, where my photo collects cobwebs and dust, where all the locals gossip. They don't know me anymore. Nowadays, I'm just some dried up, burnt out, once was, but never again, long forgotten, small town teenage try-hard bitch. I drive 600 miles every other week just to get away from it all. I string myself out on the sand and wait for high tide to take me. 1 week later, I'll be back, a little less than what I am now. The waves wear you out over time. Next, I'll be reading Back at Home. There was this one girl. She was a young prodigy, gifted, and she knew it. So she left the rest of us back at home to go on to bigger and better. Well, it turns out bigger wasn't all that much better, and the better of the worst got the best of her. She turned up back at home, except this time she wasn't all the same. The worst of the better got the best of her, and when the gifted kid thrill wore off, she turned to other vices. At least that's what I heard back at home. When I heard the news, I laughed. I laughed because she made fun of me back at home. When I was 14 years old, she told the whole school I was high off heroin and popping pills between classes. 5 years later, and she's the one who's back at home, this time in a coma. It's funny how that works. That's why I laughed. But while I was laughing, I knew that I could have been her and she could have been me, and maybe it was just us all along growing up in a doomed town back at home writing twin poetry. I looked in the mirror and I touched her face and I laughed, but the reflection stood still. And maybe I was her and she was me, and we all knew just as well who deserved to be in that coma. My final poem is called 1/3. Today I can see you within myself, somewhere in the cloudy blue of my eyes. Yesterday I wished I couldn't. Before all that I wished you were still here, but after that I wished you were gone. And tomorrow when I stand with my Father, 1/3 of his children, we will know how little we have left. This morning, in the mirror, mixed up in my coffee and out in the leaves, if you were with me then or now, I am afraid to know. The truth is, I don't know the difference. I was born to be 1/3 a child, a sister to my brothers. I was always 1/3. But now the empty space between us is all that is left. And the cold air that follows me from September to October reminds us of the fragility of life and the permanence of death, and how without my brothers, I am no longer a sister I am 1/3 of my Father's children.
And next up, we have Lizzie.
There we go. My first piece is an original poem called This Globe of Glass. My dear one, please tell me if these colors will return, if these blurred lines will focus, if I will see the leaves again. This prison is a home. These stars are just lights on the ceiling, fluorescent, reflecting off the glass. Fear makes its home on the back burner, only smoking when I pay attention. If the glass cracks, if these shapes fall away, where will I be left? The tinny radio of your voice, your staticky visage, it's all in a place I can never reach. When did my world leave? This globe of glass has become my cage. My second and final piece is from a story I wrote called History Within Reach. It takes place in a future where humans are long gone, leaving mermaids to populate the earth instead. And we follow Stefan, a historian, who is trying to find proof that humans existed. In this excerpt, Stefan has been brought by his friend Lena to a cavern with carvings made by humans so long ago. Despite the dim light, Stefan traced along the incredible piece towering above them with his eyes, now entirely uncovered by both lids. It was made by humans, that was for sure. Probably some of the last, the ones who managed to outrun the heaviest of floods and hole up in this cave. Maybe some of his ancestors lived here, making stories that told of the past when the water line wasn't nearly as high as it was now. Getting closer, he tried to discern what the carving was saying. They weren't exactly crude, but it was hard to make out some of the shapes. They're all sectioned off into little pictures of their own, depicting loved ones together, large machines, animals, other parts of nature that must have drowned along with the populace. It was sad, in a way, to look at something made so long ago, made by people who just wanted to remember and be remembered. So, Lena said behind him, "How is it?" He moved back to look at the whole thing and stand beside her. It's amazing, fascinating. All the little pictures show what I assume is a simple design of the human body. It doesn't show any fins or what they may have used to hunt and fight. He pointed towards the stick figures. They didn't have one tail, but instead two, or something else entirely, something that allowed them to travel on land. Stefan went back again to the carving and began to use his short but sharp nails to trace further along, never touching the wall. These animals must be ancestors to the ones we know now, if I'm correct in saying that we are truly descended from humans. As he moved further into the darkness, Lena took a lantern and followed him. However, he had gotten far enough that his vision began to shift, like it had in the low tunnels, letting him see in the darkness. It was nothing new, but Stefan had always wondered if they shared these traits. How had they evolved from humans? What was the same and what was different? He reached up to his neck, mindlessly stroking his gills, no longer in use when he was above the water. Reaching the edge of the carving, Stefan noticed something a little farther down, also carved in. A hand. A hand so much like his own, and yet so different. Maybe these creatures knew painting or any of the lighter carving wouldn't work, wouldn't last. The hand was carved about an inch into the stone wall. Pieces cracked and chipped, but still making a clear picture. This one was a little bigger than his, but there were more beside it, trailing along the wall and getting smaller as it went.
None of them seemed to have the long nails that were present on his, nor any webbing between the fingers. Stefan followed the train of hands until he found the last one, a small hand that wasn't even as big as his palm. Stefan stared at it, holding himself there for a moment as a knot unexpectedly formed in his throat. He could feel Lena watching him press his head against the rock wall, breathing deeply. It was here. It was practically everything he needed. Turning back around, Stefan tried to suppress the lump in his throat and properly address Lena. So, here his voice broke, audible even as he tried to mask it by clearing his throat. You said there was something else? Something the team couldn't reach? She was still gazing at the wall, but looked at him for a moment, as if trying to process the unforgettable, the unbelievable. Yeah, she nodded absently. Yes, there's a ledge around here, apparently some carvings that look similar to this one, but it's too high for us to climb or jump, and even if we could, I doubt anyone wouldn't want to be out of the water long enough to drag themselves over and get a record of it. She shook her head and prepared to dive back down. You coming? Stefan took one last long look at the carving, trying desperately to commit it to memory. It was weird. You could listen to 1,000 folk tales and myths, study pictures, read the theories on evolution, make claims, debate with others, and it still wouldn't feel real until you looked at it with your own 2 eyes, felt the indents of the carvings. How young was the youngest of the surviving humans? Which ones didn't live to see their life? Yeah, I'm ready. He turned away from the wall, unsaid questions bouncing around his mind. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lizzie. And last, we have Aaliyah.
Hello. Tonight I'll be reading 3 pieces from the Zephyr. The first is a poem by Leslie Ricker called Hesitation. Hold on. Okay. The March storm marches on, puts a sting in spring with a foot of snow and wind chill below 0. I'd gloried in a few warm days, convinced winter strays away with February winds. The mind has created, anticipated, seasonal rotation, a firm piece of flotation for summer's swim upstream, another dream that deserves its hesitation. You're the kind I like. That was clear enough. But was it weight or fill and fluff? The good gods might grant dispensation for a little hesitation. Next is Effervescent, also by Leslie Ricker. The facts are too heavy for strong arms to support. The singers of the sea are hard put now to report their worries, woes, or worships of wander, their daily doings or concerns. The noise and confusion of a species that never learns blocks channels of simple sound, effectively bringing intelligence down. We're not simplicity, but simply feckless and rationally unfound. Bursting bubbles are burping hydrogen, oxygen, elements profound. I listen for the splits and splashes, the elegance of effervescent sound. I hear the fizz and fizzle, see the paths of nature, literally abound. As history's built on cycles, thank the heavens the world is round. Last is The Pool Remembered by Virginia May. In the spring they filled dark rusty brown bottoms, muddled maple and oak leaves. The waters were ice cold from snow melt and early rain. Rain means frogs. Peepers, wood frogs, big fat black and yellow salamanders all migrate to the pool. Down the slopes to their ancient dance and a good cold swim. They leave the next of them. Soft, see-through, and bizarre eggs so different in my hands than in my books. My brother and I dare each other to touch the leafy bottom, put our feet in the cold mud, wiggle our toes. A wet hike home, we collect leaves. The water is lower now, warmer and free of frog spawn. Perfect for floating, except for the mosquitoes. Stay in the water or get bit. We race each other up the rock cliffs, grabbing at the moss and lichen to help us up. To climb the red pine, hands sticky, we feel like hawks. Look out across the green treetops. The days are warm and long. The pool is dry, now a valley of sedge. We eat peanut butter and honey sandwiches on the slopes. Feed the dog the crust. It is funny how we choose, but don't let Mom see. She walks farther with the dog. We stay and eat huckleberries by the handful. She tells us we have to leave enough for the birds. Summer wanes. The peepers still scream, singing all night. Leaves make a new blanket on the ground. The rains come back, filling the pools. Rusty waters returning. We shake saplings, dance in the leaves, celebrate decay. Acorns fall, limbs left bare. Days grow short. We take apples out with us and throw the seeds. Maybe they will grow. We could be Johnny Appleseed. The white sheets finally fall. Deep, deep snow. The air is solid and biting. We gather our things. Our hero shovels for what seems like a lifetime. We watch patiently, helping little. We are greedy. Our ring is carved out of the powdery mounds. The pool iced over, suspended in time. We skate, we fall, we laugh. We watch the puffed up chickadees on the branches stay warm. Mom brought hot chocolate. We're spoiled with pleasures. Noses red, fingers numb, fumbling hands untie skates. We carry them back over our small shoulders. At home is fire and dry pajamas. Cardinals stick out like winter berries in the trees. We strung popcorn with cranberries, pine cones smeared in peanut butter and seeds, wrapped in twine. We decorate the pines outside. We wait to see who visits our offering, a treat on a cold day. Like the wood frogs, the earth thaws, the snow melts and feeds the pools. We beg Mom to let us swim. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Maybe another round of applause for the readers.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh yeah. All right. And we will just thank everyone first. We want to thank everyone, the readers, for coming out to read everything. They did an awesome job. Thank you to AV. Thank you back there.
They'll have like a full recording of this if you want to send it home. It should be on the UNE official YouTube page, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yep, and thank you to Professors Miller and McHugh. And thank you to Faye for doing these lovely brochures, and Anjana for doing the awesome bookmarks.
Be sure to grab them in the back.
All right.
And we'll just open it up for a Q&A session if you have any questions for the readers. But yeah, that concludes our event. Thanks so much for attending. There are treats in the back, and be sure to grab a brochure, a bookmark, and a copy of the Zephyr on your way out. Have a good night.